never sleep, neither do the sins. In Mexico City, power isn't inherited, it's taken. And loyalty? Loyalty is just a promise waiting to be broken. Alejandro Vargas was not born into power. He built it, deal by deal, enemy by enemy, street by street. They called him El Leon, not because he roared the loudest, but because he never showed fear. His empire stretched across Mexico City like a shadow, quiet, heavy, and impossible to escape. Every corner had his mark. Every rival knew his name, and beside him, always, was Mateo Cruz. Mateo wasn't just a partner, he was family. They grew up together, bled together, survived together. Where Alejandro led with force, Mateo moved with patience. People feared Alejandro, but they trusted Mateo, and that made him dangerous. At home, there was Isabella, Alejandro's wife, elegant, composed. Silent in public, observant in private. She saw things others didn't. Weakness. Patterns. Cracks forming beneath the surface. Alejandro thought she was his piece. But Isabella was something else entirely. And then there was Diego, Alejandro's younger brother. Diego lived in a world where he was always second. Second in power. Second in respect. Second in his brother's eyes. And for a man like Diego, second place feels like a slow death. The empire didn't fall overnight. It started small, almost invisible. A shipment went missing. A deal fell apart. A rival cartel began pushing into territory that once feared retaliation. Diego was in charge of that deal. He acted fast, reckless, trying to prove himself. But in this world, speed gets you killed and mistakes get remembered. Alejandro cleaned up the mess, like he always did. No yelling. No punishment. But silence? Silence cuts deeper than anger. Diego felt it. And it burned. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, something else was growing. Late-night meetings. Quiet conversations. Isabella and Mateo, alone. She had watched Alejandro change over the years. Power had made him colder, less careful, more brutal. She didn't fear enemies. She feared what Alejandro was becoming. Mateo saw it too, but where Isabella saw danger, Mateo saw opportunity. He had spent years standing beside the throne. Now, he started to wonder what it would feel like to sit on it. Their conversations turned into plans. Plans turned into decisions. And just like that, loyalty began to rot. But betrayal in a city like this isn't simple. You don't just take power. You survive long enough to keep it. That's where Commandant Ruiz came in, a federal officer who wore a badge by day and sold protection by night. Money kept him loyal, but only to the highest bidder. Alejandro wasn't blind. He noticed the pauses when he walked into a room, the looks that ended too quickly, the silence that didn't feel natural anymore. Something was shifting. But trust, especially old trust, doesn't break easily. He trusted Mateo, which is exactly why Mateo could destroy him. The night it happened felt ordinary, too ordinary. A meeting was set, routine, controlled, safe. Also, Alejandro thought. The moment he stepped into the street, everything changed. Gunfire erupted from the darkness. Cars screeched. Glass shattered. Men dropped before they could even reach for their weapons. It wasn't a warning. It was an execution. Alejandro fought back, instincts taking over. Years of violence don't leave you, they sharpen you. But this wasn't a street attack. This was planned, precise, personal. And then he saw it. Not the shooters, not the chaos. Mateo, standing at a distance, watching, not helping, not moving, just watching. That's when Alejandro understood. This wasn't war. This was betrayal. In the middle of the chaos, someone pulled him to cover. Diego, the same reckless brother who had caused problems, was now risking everything to save him. For the first time in his life, Diego wasn't trying to prove himself. He was choosing loyalty. Alejandro survived. But survival doesn't mean you've won. It just means the story isn't over yet. Hidden, wounded, and running out of allies, he started putting the pieces together. The missing shipments, the failed deals, the silence. And at the center of it all, Mateo. But Mateo wasn't alone. When Alejandro realized Isabella's role, that was the moment something inside him truly broke. Not anger, not rage, something deeper. The kind of betrayal that doesn't bleed, but never heals. The final confrontation didn't happen in a palace or a battlefield. It happened in an abandoned building, fitting for something that used to be powerful, now falling apart. No armies, no backup, just truth. Mateo stood across from him, calm as ever. Not a traitor in his own eyes, but a man correcting the balance. He believed Alejandro had become a liability, a danger to everything they built. Isabella believed it too, but Alejandro saw it differently. To him, they weren't saving the empire, they were stealing it. The silence between them was heavier than any gunfire. Then, it ended the only way it ever could, with bullets